This is MaxPreps Friday Night Live, powered by American Family Insurance.
And before we move on to more of playoffs, we've got one more thing that I want to hit. Quick score, how important it is, how it's going, especially now when you have so many games. What an important tool this time of year.
Oh, I love, first of all, that you asked me about quick score. Thank you.
Right, because that is your thing.
I love it. And right now, quick score becomes more meaningful than ever. The games go further and further away from home. They become more meaningful.
Right.
And like we were just talking about the state of Ohio, say you're in Cincinnati and you get, like you're Cole Rain, and you get to the state championship. State championship's going to be at Massillon or Canton. And that game, a lot of parents might not be able to make it up there.
Yeah, it's a commute.
And so, hey, Quick Score, it's a free live scoring web app that anybody can sign up for, live score the game, and just be a fan that serves other fans.
Right.
And keeps that live score and keeps those parents, that family members, the friends that are all back home updated on what the live score is. So as the playoffs go further and further along,
More important.
way more important. Yeah.
MaxPreps.com/quickscore. You saw that we had that just up on the screen moments ago. That is where you can go. You can save on gas. Look at the bright side, right?
Yeah.
These days, hey, that goes a long way. We're going to go ahead now and take our first live look in, and brought to you by PlayOnSports.com. Right now, we've got Desert Mountain versus Mountain View, as we see right here as we check in with our first live look.
Well, we showed that map a little earlier and about Arizona, and they are in the playoffs, and they have some good playoff games tonight, like this one. The Desert Mountain Wolves in the maroon and gray right there, just getting tackled, go against the Mountain View Toros that are in the red and blue. And Desert Mountain is 8-2 overall and 4-1 in league. Mountain View is 7-3 overall and 5-2 in league. The first game of the year, actually, for both of these teams were against each other, with Desert Mountain winning 49-28. And these programs, do you have anything else, Steve?
Yeah, I think that Desert Mountain is a team that probably scares some people in the Arizona playoffs, primarily because of their quarterback, Kyle Allen. There's been 6 or 7 games where he's had at least 3 touchdown passes. He's thrown for 31 touchdown passes on the year. He'll be a national recruit behind center when he's a senior next fall, and he's the type of guy that can just take over a game. In the state of Arizona, they've done a great job recently of turning out some really impressive talent, but to see a major blue chip Division I quarterback is still somewhat uncommon in the state. And so for Desert Mountain to have a kid of that caliber, they may go up against a team that on paper is better than them, but if he gets hot, he's certainly capable of carrying them to a deep playoff run.
All right, Steve, thank you very much. We'll check in with you in just 1 second. Now we are very lucky because we all know when you have a bye week, you really just want to hang out.
Just relax.
But head coaches don't do that, and that's why we have on the phone Bobby Ramsey. He's from Yulee High School. Coach Bobby Ramsey, thank you so much for talking to us this evening. It is your bye week, and all year round, you've had such a great year. Great team effort, so congratulations, first of all, on that.
Thanks for having me on, guys, and appreciate it. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, Coach. Each and every week here on the show, Coach Ramsey, we've been talking about Yulee, and especially running back Derrick Henry and his run at Ken Hall's all-time rushing record. I got to see Derrick Henry actually the last 2 years up there in Oregon at the Spark National Championship, where he basically kind of had his coming out party on his athleticism his junior year. I mean, he put up numbers as a junior. Him and Alti Tenpenny, they put up numbers. So just asking you, from all your years as being a coach, what does separate Derrick Henry from other athletes that you've seen?
Oh, man. I mean, I guess it's kind of the obvious. He's really big and really fast. I think, at least with high school kids, I think the difference, aside from, I think it's more tangible stuff. Anybody can see the obvious. I got a 16-month-old nephew I could bring to our game who'd probably look at him and go, he's a lot bigger than everybody else and the way he runs. But I think a lot of it's the intangible stuff, he's never, I think it's real easy for a high school player to have the ability that he has and just sit back and say, I'm fine. I got this. I don't have to really work to do much more. I'm the best already, and I can kind of do whatever I feel like, and just get by on his natural ability. And Derek's always tried to match his ability with his work ethic. And I think the fact that he's always trying to get better has allowed him to improve. I mean, he's a 2,500-yard rusher as a ninth grader. I mean, he was a lot thinner. He was probably 30 pounds lighter. He wasn't as fast, but he was fast. And he could have stayed on that plane 4 years and still been a really good player, but people would have gradually, closed the gap on him. And I think it's the intangibles really that have made him different. He hasn't believed the hype. I think he's maintained some humility, and that's been big.
Yeah, Coach, I mean, you talk about his size. That's always a question that's being brought up amongst him is his size and playing at the next level. One question I have is playing running back at the next level. Do you think that is something that he can and will do? And then the other one is he chose Alabama, which has a ton of running back recruits coming in the same year. And you just spoke on how he has those intangibles where he just continues to get better and work harder. Why is it that he would have chose Alabama?
Well, I think the first part about him playing running back, that's what he was recruited as. And I mean, there were a couple schools that came in and were up front and said, we love him. We don't, we think he may be a little bit better at a different position, but the schools that he maintained, recruitment with, Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, a few other schools. Everybody came in and recruited him as a running back. There was never any, hey, we're going to play you here or there. I've always joked with people, when a guy might come and go, is he too big to play running back? I'm like, well, what's too big? I'm not trying to say he's Magic Johnson, but I'm sure there were people that thought Magic Johnson was too big to play point guard in college, and that ended up working out pretty well. So, I think he certainly has things he needs to work at when he gets to the next level, but that's any player coming out right now. But I think as productive as a player as he's been at the running back position, it's hard for me to sit here and think that he couldn't at least have earned the opportunity to play running back. And I think he's going to be, I think that the change in the running back position, you've seen a lot more spread offenses, and I think the skill set, with what they ask for running backs to do as far as catching the ball has changed a little bit. So, you went away from, the Eddie George and the Eric Dickerson type tailback to more of the, all-purpose back and things like that. And so I think I think that running back is coming back in vogue as far as a power back. The second part of your question, as far as whether or not, I'm sorry, would you give me a second?
Yeah. The second part was just he is going, like you said, he has those.
Why did he pick Alabama?
Right.
I really feel like it wasn't the easy choice. I think it was the challenging choice. But I think for him, we talked, and when we was getting ready to make a decision, I didn't really steer him one way or the other. But the only thing I said is, look, I don't care where you go. There's going to be there's 85 scholarship players there. Do the math. There's going to be 3 to 5 scholarship running backs per team. And, let's assume they're all pretty good. So I think there's going to be competition anywhere he goes. Mm-hmm. I think Alabama presented a lot of challenges, but I think he's excited about those challenges. And, again, I don't think it was the easy choice, but I think it was the best choice.
Coach Steve Spivak here. Thank you again for hopping on with us. Derek is, 500 some odd yards away from breaking Ken Hall's all-time national career rushing record. He's gone for over 500 in the past. I think your game next week is a winnable game. Have you had any conversations with him? Does he have a hope of potentially breaking the record at home? Could he do it next week on the road? Is that even a conversation you guys are having?
We've never talked about his stats. One thing, people, I think sometimes, the reality isn't as glamorous or maybe as as exciting as what you might think. I mean, we don't have a countdown chart or anything in our offices or our locker room. Those yards are a means to an end for us because it's what we do, and he's he's a phenomenal player, and we feel that we have to get him the football because he's been so productive. And as far as next week goes, we're aware of where he is. I mean, I told somebody the other day, I mean, it's the elephant in the room. He's close. I'm like, we're not the smartest guys, but we did a little math, and he had a 4.55 game a couple weeks ago, and that's when it was like, oh man, he's going to probably do this. I don't think it's realistic though that he'll do it this week. I just don't see that happening. I think more likely the first round playoff game is, if it happens, it would be then, and we will be at home that game. So, I think that's something that Derek knows about, but we've never talked about it, and I think Derek just wants to win. Derek, if he gets the record, I'm sure he'll be excited and he'll be happy. I mean, who wouldn't be? But it's really something that if it's brought up, it's people bringing it up to him. We don't talk about it.
Yeah.
All right, Yulee head coach Bobby Ramsey, thank you once again for talking to us. We wish your team and you the best of luck. And, of course, to Derek, we'll, of course, keep you posted when he does break that record.
I like that. All he cares about winning.
That's right.
You usually hear that about the best athletes is that at the end of the day, it's not about their stats. It's not about them.
Winning.
It's about that ring or it's about that trophy. So
yeah,
it's a...
And he's getting it done on the field and off the field. But right now, it's time where we go ahead and we check in with the top 10 teams right now in both the Excellent 25 and, of course, the MaxPreps computer rankings, which we've spoken about a lot.
Yep, and as you can see right now on your screen, you will see MaxPreps Excellent 25 on the left-hand side and the computer rankings brought to you by or presented by the National Guard on the right-hand side. Steve, looking at these rankings, of course, we just, we see Manatee at the top. They're doing great tonight. We're really doing really, really well. But on the right-hand side in the computer rankings, you see DeSoto. They're number 1. You see Koppel at number 3. Allen down there at number 7, all from Texas. You actually have DeSoto at 6. What do you see in the future? Do you see any of those teams from Texas actually staying up there and holding their spot?
Well, not only could any of those teams in Texas hold their spot, but any team that captures a Class 5A state title and does it without a loss is really looking at a very high national finish. We have DeSoto at number 6 in the human rankings, and like I said, if they continue to run the table and play the way they're capable of playing, I can't see them finishing any lower than 6. I got to think that that's a top 2, top 3, top 5 finish if they run the table. I think the talent is there, the potential is there. Sometimes, at least right now, it seems like they sleepwalk through quarters or halves, and they struggle with teams that maybe they shouldn't be struggling with. But the thing with the Texas playoffs is we've seen it year after year. Top teams can go down, and another team you also mentioned, Katy. They're a team that again they can win the Class 5A Division II title. You see them here, and they can finish ranked very, very high as well. But Katy is an example also of a team that in the past has entered the Class 5A playoff bracket as a title favorite and has not gone the distance. And, my point about DeSoto and about Katy, about anybody else in the state of Texas is that playoff stretch is so grueling that unless you bring it every single week for 5 weeks, you're gonna get bounced. And that's why sometimes we see surprise teams capturing state titles in Texas. It's because, any misstep, if you take a down off or quarter off, you have a hard time running the table in the Texas 5A playoffs because every week you're going to face a high-quality opponent.
That's why it's called the playoffs.
That's why you play the game.
That's right.
That's it. You just can't go off talent and just go right through the playoffs, and especially in the state of Texas. So, Katy actually brings up, Steve, a few similarities to last year in South Lake Carroll. A team that just is a dynasty in the 2000s, takes a few years off, and right now has a really good chance at winning like South Lake Carroll did last year. Do you have the same thoughts, or?
I think that Katy is definitely the favorite. to capture the Class 5A Division II title. But again, they're going to have to go through some very difficult teams. Cibolo Steel, Lake Travis is certainly an outstanding playoff team, though they've struggled a little bit this year. I like Katy. I wouldn't say I'm completely sold that they're locks to win the state title, because again, you never know what happens come playoff time. And it's been a few years for them. This is a program that was maybe the best program in the state of Texas in the 2000s. It's either them or South Lake Carroll, but they've been upset the past couple years, and so I think they can do it. And if I were a betting man, I would say I think they will do it. But if I had to take Katy or the field, I don't know. It's tough. They're the favorite, but they're definitely not above getting knocked off if they have a down week.
This is MaxPreps Friday Night Live, powered by American Family Insurance.